Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. It's Fatherhood Fridays. We're about to get this thing going. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a wonderful thing. We all woke up this morning blessed and highly favored. Blessed and highly favored. I just got off of an IG Live. One of my partners, little big brother, pastor, mentor, Aaron Victor. That brother was talking about winning. Let me tell you, we all have won today. We here. We woke up. We alive. We well. Even if you sick, you woke up. So you still well. Even if you can't get out the bed, you got your eyes open. You still well. Even if you sniffling. Even if you got a cough. Even if you just don't feel like getting up this morning. You up. So you winning. I left that call and I told him. I said, today, I'm going to talk about winning. Winning as a father. Winning as a husband. Winning as a nonprofit leader. Winning as a leader in the community. It don't make a difference how many people I have on here. I know that I'm winning just because I'm here today. I'm winning. I mean, it just got so infectious on that other chat. I need everybody to know that they're winning. That's all I can feel today is a win, 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 no matter what. Win, 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 no matter what. Fellas, we're going to have to keep winning. We're going to have to understand that we are winning. I know my brother, if he popped on here now, he'd be like, boy, you done took my story for the day. But I'm going to say, no, I didn't take it. God gave it to me. Because God works through us to send messages. As long as we listen to our spirit, we're going to receive the messages that we're supposed to give back. That's one of the things that we have to work on as a people. Is not just receiving the message, but how are we going to give it back? Giving it back to our families. Giving it back to our kids. Giving it back to the community. It's all going to be a win. You can't win by yourself. You can always win, but you can't win by yourself. And when you win, you have to help others win. Because winning should be a culture. Winning should be a society. But what do we do with the win? We want to hold a trophy. Keep the trophy to ourselves. But when you win as a team, you have to share that trophy. You got to give to each other just so you can win. I want everybody to share what we got going on here today because I want to get as many people on here that we can receive a message, but not just hold on to it for ourselves, but give it back to somebody. Give it back to our kids. Give it back to our wives. Give it back to our teams. Give it back to our community. Let me tell you a little bit about what's been going on with me. Well, let me take that back. Let me tell you what's been going on with Brothers Brunch Foundation. We've been able to have several events this month, which normally we don't go as hard as we do. But there is a message behind this. We will never have more on us than we can bear. I was talking to my therapist yesterday, and one of the things that my therapist said was that I made it through veering off on many exits, but I got back on the road. I made it through many exits, but I got back on the road. He said, many people have been on those exits that I've been on and never did make it back, but I made it back. He told me my well-being and my stress level should never go down, because no matter what goes or comes my way, through as many times as I've gotten off on those exits, but didn't stay exited and got back on the road, there's nothing that I cannot think through because of my level of intelligence. I never had anybody break it down to me that way. That was one of the most motivating, direct conversations that someone has ever had with me. Get out of your emotions. Get out of your feelings. And then the message came this morning, and just realize that you're winning. How many of us have gone through some things that other people would not have made it through? But we still hard on ourselves. We still don't think that when some things come our way, that we don't have the strength to prevail. But we don't look back at those other situations that were more difficult, that could have kept you stuck on that exit, but you always got back on the road. That's what life is about. We fall down, but we get up. We can go to the saint. It's just a sinner who fell down, but got back up. But regardless of if you've been a saint or not, you've fallen down and you've gotten back up. I was on a fatherhood call a few days ago, and there was a young man that was on. And one of the things that he was talking about was bumping his head. And he said that he wanted to get some wisdom and knowledge about not bumping his head as much. Me tiptoeing on 50 in 3 weeks, I say, well, if you figure out a way to not bump your head as much, let me know. Because my head is still hurting at almost 50. Because I'm still bumping. We as fathers, we as men, are not always going to be perfect. Our road may not always be easy. But I put this portrait up behind me for a reason. Because we have to be examples. We have to be examples for our kids, for our wives, for our families, and for our communities. That is what fatherhood is about. But there are two different types of examples. You can be a positive example, or you can be a negative example. Unfortunately, a lot of our intergenerational traumas that have followed us from generation to generation, we have to understand that just because we saw it just doesn't make it all right. Just because we saw it doesn't make it all right. We have wisdom. We have knowledge. We have learning that can always take place every second, every minute, every day. So we have to understand, what are those past traumas that may have affected us that are affecting our children? I said we have to be honest about what are those negative traumas that have affected us that are affecting our children. When I say we have to be honest, that means that we can't just make everything all right. We got to bump our head. We got maybe feel a little pain sometimes. Sometimes it's just a little sting. Certain things are allowed to happen to us so that we can go through them. Those exits that I veered off onto, where I could have gotten stuck, but I got back on the road with those knocking my head moments. Now I can realize that. Now I can see clearly when conflict comes. That happened overnight. And when I say that happened overnight, that was yesterday. And that was that talk with my therapist. One of the things I always say is everything don't have to be so wrong. I saw one of my homeboys make a post yesterday. He said, how do you vent when you don't want to tell your business? He said, how do you vent when you don't want to tell your business? It's called therapy. Venting without telling your business to any and everybody is called therapy. I'm guilty. I vented. But now I've got therapy. I could maybe want to tell some good news, but maybe I just don't want to share it with everybody. I could tell my therapist if I want to share some bad news, things that I may still be struggling with, mentally, physically, medically. I can talk to my therapist. There's no reason why we as men, we as fathers, should ever be to the point that we need to vent, but don't have nobody to talk to. And we don't want to tell our business. It's a new day. It's a new time. That man behind me has given me so many opportunities to bump my head. We have to allow that same opportunity for ourselves, for our kids, for our families, and those that we help in our communities. But sometimes we don't allow ourselves grace. Grace comes through those times when you get off on the exit and you get back on the road. Grace comes through those times when you get frustrated and depressed. But now you start to think through the situation, as my therapist said, and not get all emotional about the situation. That's what we call grace. Grace comes that moment when you about to yell at your kids and maybe whip them, which the only place I know that whipping and yelling started was back in slavery. Those are those intergenerational traumas. So when we think through those things, as my therapist said, and not process with our emotions and have that clarity, that's grace. Not grace just for you, but grace for your child. So ultimately, we have to give ourselves grace as well as our children as we continue to progress and grow and strengthen ourselves in fatherhood, in manhood. And when that grace comes and we start to have that peace in our heart, that peace comes in our mind. But who do you have to talk to? When you have that moment and you need to vent, but don't want to tell your business, but you also want to win, who do you talk to? Yes, I got that man right there. That man I call Dad. The man who is truly a great father. Truly has helped me to win. But now, I also have my therapist. Let's not just focus on mental illness. Let's focus on our mental health. Focusing on our mental health gives us strength. Focusing on our mental illness focuses on a regaining of our health. So if you truly want to have that strength that you need, I challenge you. Let's not say I don't have a mental illness. Let's say I want to strengthen my mental health. I thank you for those that have joined me this morning. I hope for those that have joined and for those that listen, that you've received something out of this message today. That it's not about mental illness. It's about mental health. When I focus on my mental health, I gain more strength. And the more strength I have, the more I win. And I am winning. Everyone have an amazingly blessed day. Until next Fatherhood Friday, peace.